Live from the Senate, senior multimedia reporter Bea Cupin, who is on special assignment in the Senate, with prosecution spokesperson Zia Adyong. Bea?
Kong Zia, John,
afternoon.
hello. Kong Zia, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Kanina, si COA State Auditor Roderick Wamel, paulit-ulit sinabi niya, like, they went through all 3 quarters of 2023. Of course, those are the only quarters of 2023 na nag-receive pa ng confidential funds si Sara Duterte under OVP and DepEd.
Actually, the last quarter of 2022 also.
Yeah, but for today, it was 2023
Yeah.
yung coverage. Over and over, Wamel said na kulang-kulang nga yung documents. Sir, what does this say about how the Vice President handled the confidential funds that were entrusted to her? And what is the story that the prosecution hopes the public takes away from the past 2 days?
Well, I think the take home or what we have learned. By the way, Attorney Kapunan walked us through each individual stage by which the COA conducted the auditing of the confidential funds covering the first quarter, the second quarter, and the third quarter of 2023. No, it only means one thing. No, there's really that intention to misuse the confidential funds because, ordinary Filipino would have to ask, madali lang naman talagang i-liquidate kung ginagamit mo yung halimbawa in terms of travel, diba? Because they have allotted 10 million each quarter for travel expenses, no? Madali lang naman yan if you're doing confidential activities like intel gathering, say for example, to pursue your effort to cleanse our schools from NPA infiltration, from our teachers to be recruited by the NPA. Madali lang naman if you go to other places all over the country. If you're actually riding a plane or riding a boat, etc., madali lang naman kumuha ng resibo yung ticket mo Pero the mere fact that they could not provide this as an attachment to the utilization of these confidential funds, it would prove one thing, talagang hindi nagawa. I mean, ordinary Filipino would have no trouble of asking these questions kasi if talagang tama yung implementation mo, it will not be difficult for the OVP and for the DepEd to comply with the necessary attachments and documents to prove that these funds are implemented in strict compliance with the joint circular. Pero it actually reached a point where we need to discuss this in an open court, in an impeachment court. They have been given the chance to supply and sufficiently comply with the missing requirements and documents at the time that they were issued the audit observation memorandum, diba? Even prior to the issuance of the notice of suspension, they were given that chance, but they failed to do so. Kasi madali lang talaga kung totoo mag-produce ng dokumento pero mahirap kung gawa-gawa, diba? That's why even the previous rulings of the COA and also in connection with the joint circular, if the in the spirit of auditing or in the process of auditing, if these requirements cannot be sufficiently supplied by the agency, there's that presumption of misuse, to at least maybe for personal benefits, diba? Yun ang sinabi dun sa joint circular. So, since na hindi nila satisfy fully yung auditing requirements ng COA over the use of confidential funds, and then, tabi nga ni Attorney Kapunan, it only speaks one thing, that the presumption of misuse still stands.
Kung dudugtungin ko lang yan, kasi kanina sa noontime presentation ng prosecution, may linya doon na stood out to me. There was a line that said, confidential ang operation, pero hindi confidential ang pananagutan.
Totoo.
Referring to the accountability of how that money was used. Now, I don't think this was directed towards a specific person, but I've been observing on social media, may narrative nga, na ba't nyo inaalam kung saan nagastos yung confidential funds, confidential nga. But my question is, how, at this point, how big is a concern for the prosecution na as the story that you're weaving before the impeachment court and before the public is not reaching certain parts of the Philippine public?
Well, number one kasi, we have to understand that though this is confidential funds, it does not mean that it does not mean that this is discretionary fund. It is a confidential funds, but it is also a conditional fund. It's conditional because it should be governed by specific guidelines and rules. And there's the joint circular, no? Actually, hindi lang ang COA ang tawag dito, nag-establish, for example, ng joint circular. Many other agencies of the government, no? So ibig sabihin, this is the governing rules and regulation over the implementation and the utilization of confidential funds and intelligence funds, no? To go straight to your question, bakit confidential ito eh? Yes, kung sa tayong ordinaryong tao, tama, I would agree, because you're also involving community. For example, if you have informants should be locals. Ibig sabihin, doon sila nakatira sa community na yon, di ba? Local eh. Kasi sino bang magbibigay sa ng information na accurate kung hindi yung mga taong may alam doon sa lugar na yon. If you're talking about specifically counterterrorism, di ba? Ikukunin mo yung informant sa mga tao na yon. It's a community infiltration program. For example, if you are really trying to pursue counterterrorism measure or counterinsurgency measure, di ba? Pero the question is, kung tayo, ng mga ordinary na tao, hindi natin dapat malaman talaga yung identity ng mga informants na to, di ba? Pero pagdating sa auditing, kasi pera ng taong bayan ang ginamit, hindi mo po pwedeng to keep COA out in the dark ba? Not to reveal the real identities of your informants if they're using aliases or code names, no? For the purpose of their own personal security. Kasi even doon sa joint circular memorandum, very instructive doon eh. Yes, you may use code names, you may use aliases para to maintain confidentiality of the yung activity and securing the identity of your informants, pero dapat merong attachment to na documents proving that these people, your informants, do really exist. Ilalagay mo sa envelope yung documents that would prove na talagang tao sila. Ito yung mga real mga tunay nilang pangalan. Ilalagay mo sa ilang vault, and then for a certain number of days, isasubmit mo yun sa ICFAO. So very instructive yun eh. Up to now, acknowledgement receipts yung natanggap ng ICFAO, na wala silang attachment to really prove that these Mary Grace Piatos, Biko Harina, are real people. And they're just simply using aliases to protect their identity from, from risking their own life, no, kung malaman ito ng publiko.
Pero yun, sir, sa information ecosystem, parang may mga narrative nga na gano'n, na parang ba't ba natin inaalam to? Confidential nga, security-related nga. I guess the bigger question there is how do we ensure that the narrative, again, the story that you're telling, piece by piece, reaches, perhaps communities that are not being reached right now?
Ayaw kasi natin ng isang leader na walang pananagutan. Ayaw kasi natin na masuportahan yung culture of impunity. Hindi natin gusto yon, di ba? So the only way for us to maintain na merong transparency dito sa bansa, dun man lang sa paggamit ng pondo ng taong bayan, dapat all of us, especially higher ups, no, itong mga elected to high positions, dapat sila yung unang-unang mag-maintain ng accountability and transparency by subjecting themselves to this kind of policies. Paggamit sa pondo, dapat talaga full transparency and full disclosure. Yun ang sinabi sa Constitution, because public office that they occupy is a public trust. They were elected there because of the mandate that was given to them by the people. The mandate is also translated into trust of the people. You are entrusted to maintain and to promote policies of government. You need to maintain and promote, rule of law. Hindi mo po pwedeng basta-basta lang gawin yon. Simply na ma-violate itong mga rules simply because you feel that you are above the law. Bawal yon sa ating demokrasya, sa ating bansa. So why is it important? Because if we maintain that we don't, why are we actually intervening or, dipping our nose into this business na hindi naman natin dapat pakialaman kasi confidential yan, that actually is an attitude reinforces the culture of impunity. Dapat the opposite is what we are asking, demanding from our public officers.
John, do you have questions for Congressman Jong?
Kong Zia, good afternoon. Thank you for making time for us. Just a couple of
Good afternoon,
questions.
John, Sir John. Yes, po.
I'm actually here with
Yes, sir.
UP Professor Ranjit Rai, President of Okta Research, and he thinks that Attorney Lorna Kapunan was successful in creating a narrative, no, about the misuse and misappropriation of the confidential funds. No? I'd like to ask you, first of all, would you agree that Attorney Lorna was successful in building that narrative? Number two, would you say that the word scam, which she used, summarizes everything? Yun ba is the prosecution behind that word?
Well, I agree, no. It was a master class, no. Yung presentation po ni Attorney Kapunan actually did not only speak directly to the judges, sitting judges, but it did speak directly to the people. She was able to narrate, the presentation in a way na naging storya, naging kwento, at naintindihan ng ating taong bayan. Kasi unang-una, naintindihan ng taong bayan na pagdating sa pondo ng gobyerno, hindi dapat ito na inaabuso. So she was able to actually relay that message to the public that there was really indeed that attempt and the effort to abusuhin ang pondo ng taong bayan. Dahil mismo ang ahensya na nagkukwento nito or pinanggagalingan ng mga sagot na sa tanong ni Attorney Kapunan ay yung ahensya na binigyan ng mandato exclusively ng ating Constitution para i-audit ang lahat ng pondo down to the last centavo ng ating taong bayan, no? She was able to deliver that perfectly, kaya nga sinasabi ko masterclass, no? Yung sinasabi bakit sinabing, I think I agree to some extent. I agree with her because unang-una, ang mga karakteristik kasi ng scam is may legitimate reason kung paano gamitin ang pondo, no? Pero later on, yung legitimate reason na paglalagyan ng pondo ay hindi rin na-fulfill by way of not really providing the accurate information via, via yung mga dapat na isubmit na mga dokumento, mga resibo, etc. No? So I think that's one of the characteristics, painting that there's a legitimate purpose and then yung legitimate purpose ay hindi na-fulfill because of the inefficiency of producing accomplishment reports, for example. Number two is yung sa mga characteristic din ng scam is may pera at saka yung pera na gagamitin ay sobrang bilis ang paggamit at pag-release, no? Nakita naman natin yon na sobrang bilis din yung pag-encash ng mga checks nito at saka sobrang bilis ng pag-utilize nito in just 11 days. I'm talking about the last quarter of the 2022, December 21 to 31 na may mga days po diyan na holidays, no? Number 3, yung sinasabing wag mo nang tanungin kasi confidential ito eh. So, isa sa mga characteristics ng sinasabi niyang scam, no? I think that's the reason why Attorney Kapunan sum it up in one word, no? Kasi kumbaga nandun yung effort at saka nandun talaga yung intention na maabuso itong confidential funds na ito. Dahil hindi lang sa hindi na-provide ng OVP at saka DepEd yung mga necessary documents para mapatunayan na nagamit ito sa maayos, pero yung attempt to avoid answering these questions. That not only do they avoid answering these questions to the public, but they're actually avoiding providing answers to the OCOA, no? I'm not saying that they're intentionally avoiding it, but the fact that they cannot provide documents to address this allegation and to probably to answer the questions that COA posed before them by virtue of requesting these documents is already an explanation to the public na meron talagang pag-iiwas at hanggang ngayon naiiwasan ng OVP at ng DepEd yung pagbibigay ng sagot dahil wala nga talaga silang mai-provide na dokumento at kasagutan sa COA.
Kong Zia, one last question, and it will come from Okta Research President, Professor Ranjit Rai. No? Siguro rider to sa next survey ba?
Good afternoon, Kong Zia.
Yes, sir.
Nice to
Good
see you
afternoon,
again. Kong Zia, a basic question ko, alam mo yung issue ng budol, ng scam, nakakatakot sa mga Pilipino yan eh. So, ang next question is, anong gagawin ng Kongreso ngayon? Diba? Nakita na natin na kaya palang abusuhin itong confidential funds to the point na pwede palang iuwi lang to ng head of office. May initiative ba? May mga initiatives ba ang Congress? Will Congress have initiatives to strengthen accountability, transparency, or even the use of this, clarify the use of these funds? Because clear sa case ngayon na whether hindi natin sinasabing inuwi niya yung pera, but definitely may misuse kasi ginamit sa iba-ibang bagay na hindi nakasaad dun sa joint circular. So is Congress going to reform the use of or improve the use of these confidential funds? Thank you, sir.
Yes. In fact, meron
Budget season.
Yeah. Because actually during the previous previous budget hearing, tinatanong ng mga kongresista kung ano yung mga ahensya na nagre-request ng confidential funds. I think isa sa mga magiging takbo ng Kongreso or yung magiging remedy dito sa possible abuses ng confidential funds ay i-contain na lang or exclusively ibigay sa mga agencies na talagang may mandato para sa sugpuin kung ano man yung mga lawless elements sa ating bansa. I think doon sa security agencies lang na po pwedeng exclusively exclusive, kumbaga sila lang yung maaaring maka-avail ng itong mga intelligence funds or confidential funds. May mga panukalang resolution at batas rin na i-trim down, kumbaga, i-tailor fit natin yung releasing ng confidential funds doon sa mga ahensya na talagang nangangailangan nito. Apart from the security sector, security agencies na kinakailangan talaga na bigyan dahil mandato nila. Doon naman sa mga civilian agencies, I think hindi naman lahat ay dapat natin i-restrict. Kasi unang-una, like sa ating mga korte, talagang sa aking palagay, ang ating mga judges, especially if they're handling a very sensitive and very, yung sinasabi nating mga high-profile cases where involved ay mga sindikato or mga ibang mga nasa gobyerno, matataas na also being part of the syndicate, ay mukhang kailangan din nila ng kanilang confidential funds for their own security. So ibig sabihin, we just have to make sure that the confidential funds will be streamlined in such a way that the allocation of this would also be rationalized in relation to agencies that are really in need of confidential funds na hindi dapat nila gagawin lang na parte or idadagdag nila sa kanilang trabaho but really are part of their mandate para mapaganda ang kanilang serbisyo sa taong bayan. So I think meron na, I know that there are already that move to really rationalize the allocation of confidential funds to be fitting to the agencies that have that mandate to really exercise the functions in terms of securing the streets or in terms of countering the rising of lawless elements in our country.
Thank you very much, Kong Zia, and thank you, Bea. That was our senior multimedia reporter, Bea Cupin.